Hello and welcome to another week of Sambo iRacing. It's week 11, season 2, 2024. That means it is the penultimate week of the championship in the Formula Vee, and we're at Snetterton for the 200 layout of the circuit. It's going to be a really tricky racetrack, this one. Most of it's very straightforward. There's going to be so many places to overtake on two huge long straights. However, turn 4 and 5 are possibly the trickiest combination of turns, as you'll actually see me just come into it here, that we face on the entire season. I loaded into the test session 4 different times, as you can see on the screen here, just to get the right sort of idea about where the wind's going to be. So it did give me different ones. And as you can see now on the screen, the times were very similar depending on where the wind was. And I do currently own 11 of the top 12 times on Garage 61 before this week has started. So I'm guessing not many people have actually been on the track to test it. So hopefully this should be a good lap for you. Let me know how you get on. How are you getting on in the championship with it being the second to last week? I am currently hanging on. I'm stuck in a World Championship sandwich. I've got Seb, the current World Champion, just behind me, and CJ just ahead of me, who was the World Champion the season before that. So everything getting very excited. If you're new to the channel, thanks. I don't always have this long a preamble. Do apologise about that. But we'll be doing a lap from the cockpit where I slow it down, and then we'll go full speed chase cam, and then full speed once again from the cockpit with the driving line on. Enough of that, let's start the lap. Okay, if you are not new to the channel, you're probably bored of me saying this thing, but obviously I loaded into this test session from the Vee schedule to ensure that the track conditions are exactly as we are going to be racing on next week. Now, every time you do load in, the Tempest system may give you different weather conditions. So, whilst I posted before my different times with different winds, I'll just post them again now. One thing that you will notice is if you have the wind in your face or behind you on either of the straights, you will be much faster or much slower than me when you actually race against my Ghost, my B-lap, if that is the case. But overall, it sort of evens out over the entire lap. Anyway, just wanted to mention that in case you think, why is Sam going so slow on this straight? It's all about the wind. Very important now this season. So, as we start the lap, we're in 4th gear, over on the left-hand side. Now, if you do have a tailwind going into one, you may need to do a slight lift. I do not have a tailwind, so all I'm doing is I'm getting myself a little bit on the grass, but you've got to keep the center of your car to the right of this white line, as I've got, and I'm going to be taking it flat. So as I get to this final marker on the left-hand side, I'm going to start turning in. I'm just keeping it flat. I'm just taking a tiny bit of this rumble strip. I noticed that if I went too far over it, then I really did have far too much understeer because it's a little bit slippy, and I ran too wide on exit of 1. But as it is, I've exited perfectly onto the rumble strip. Don't go on the grass there because it will slow you down. Keeping it fully flat. And what I'm looking for now is this marker. So you can either use the Wilson one on the right or on the left. Again, this one marker that's sort of italicized. When I get to that, I'm going to brake really hard in a straight line. I'm braking really hard, but I've got my brake bias back 6 clicks. So it's 64 point something, 6 clicks from standard. And that is all for this corner. So I've got it back 6 clicks, and that's so that I can brake quite hard. It's a slippy corner. I go up to nearly 100%. And I'm doing that just so I can slow the car down so I can try and get through this corner as fast as possible. I'm going to start turning in towards the apex, slowly trailing off my brakes all the way down. I drop it down to 3rd gear. Now, if you don't use a button clutch or dual clutch or manual clutch or whatever, and you are using auto blip, just leave it in 3rd gear. If you can use 2nd gear, like we have done at Tsukuba and a few other tracks so far this season, then you can drop it down to 2nd gear because it will give you more torque out of the corner. So we're still trailing it all the way down. And only when I get to the apex here, we're not wanting to go over the sausage curb, we're just staying on the rumble strip. I drop it into 2nd gear, right when I'm at the lowest possible rev range. You can't early shift in these cars, especially not into 2nd gear. I start building back up on the throttle, but I don't reach full throttle until I actually start coming fully off this rumble strip because it is really quite slippy. So it's quite a tricky corner, but as you can see, once my rears are fully off the rumble strip, I'm back up at 100%. You then start making the turn for turn 3 very quickly, and at this point on the apex, we're going to turn, we're going to gear up to third gear, and I still get some wheel spin, as you see, coming out of that in third gear. We're going to third gear, car just kicks out a little bit, but now we're holding it as straight as possible going down the main straight. So I've got a crosswind here. So when I had the tailwind, I was going so much faster, literally a couple of tenths faster by the time I was at the end of it. Now we come to tricky turns 4 and 5. So as we go under the bridge and as we come to this marker here, we're still going flat out. So just as I get to the marker, I'm going to start turning left, still at full throttle, looking for the inside of turn 4. So I'm still at full throttle. I'm now under the bridge, still at full throttle. But as you can see, these nice markings, these nice sort of circular markings up ahead on the track. Once I get to those, I'm going to start lifting from 4th gear. So I'm still flat out. And then it's as we get in here, I'm going to do a big lift in 4th gear. I'm going to start applying the brakes at turn 4, not massively, just up to about a third, 33%. And now I'm getting back off the brakes a little bit. I am keeping a tiny bit of maintenance throttle on. I'm taking the rumble strip as best as possible. And as you can see, as I'm on the apex here, I'm now steering back right for the second part of this long chicane. It's very, very slidey. Once I've got my car straightened up, so as you can see, my car is now pointing to where I want it to be, to the apex of turn 5, Nelson, up ahead. My car's all straight, and now it's straight, and it has to be straight. If your car has any angle on the steering, you are just going to spin out. I did several times. It was very frustrating. I was actually in a Discord session with Jimmy Cherry and Sean McQuillan. If you race a lot of the Vees, you'll know them both very well, and they will attest to the fact that I kept swearing because I was just going twiddly-dee, flying off in every direction. Anyway, I'm now having to try and keep the car as straight as possible. You can see it sliding around, and I'm having to react to that on the steering wheel. I go almost up to full braking again, but I'm trying to keep the car as straight as possible. I'm going to trail it off down to this apex on the right-hand side, dropping it down to third gear. And what I'm wanting the rear to do is I'm wanting the rear to start kicking out, which it is now, and I'm going to control that slide in third gear. I'm going to go over the rumble strip without hitting the sausage curb. If you hit the sausage curb, you're having a bad day, and you're going to be off in the grass over on the left-hand side. But as you can see, at the apex of turn 5, I'm now turning. I'm 100% on the throttle, and I'm going to leave it on there for quite a long time now. So your car will kick out. I do actually have an awful lot further I could go over on the left there. You can use all of the AstroTurf on the left-hand side. So in third gear, taking turn 6 flat up to 4th gear. Have a nice wide entry into Coram here, the bomb hold, turn 7, whatever you want to call it. I'm holding it in 4th gear, and I'm going to continue to hold until just here. And that's just because I felt the rear was not going round enough. I wanted a little bit more rotation. So I do a lift, and now I'm just balancing the car between sort of 50 and 90%, as you can see, as I'm going around this second to last corner. And what I'm looking for here is this final sort of apexy bit that's coming up. So I'm going to touch the brakes once I get midway between these two sets of posts on the right-hand side. So once I'm that, I'm now going to straighten the car up, so I'm going to brake really quite hard. But as you can see, as I get to the full braking speed that I'm going to be doing, up to like 90%, I'm keeping my car as straight as possible. Again, otherwise you're going to have a slide. And now we're just going to trail it off down to the apex of turn 8, Murray's. I've already started putting some maintenance throttle on here so that I can change to third. And as you can see, I'm wanting to just miss this. I think I did just clip the sausage curve there, but it's only a slight kiss. I'm now fully up to 100% as I leave the apex. Car's going to feel a little bit slidey. You can exit out quite wide here. Watching this back, it seems such a simple and straightforward track that there are 3 really tricky turns in it. And over and across the line in a 126.502. And as I say, I know there have been a few league races here over the last couple of seasons, but this is the quickest one currently on Garage 61, and I'll see how long it holds during the week of racing. Right, from the chase cam at full speed. Right, let's start the lap. So now you can properly use my telemetry here, and you can see the gradients and the trail braking that I do. Obviously, turn 1, we're taking absolutely flat out. I like to take a little bit of grass on the left-hand side on entry to ensure that I can make it round. Full exit wide. We're looking for this marker on the left-hand side, braking really quite hard. And now it's a really, really long trail off, down to second gear, up to third gear. The rear just kicks out a bit, but that's fine. It is a long, it feels like you're trail braking forever there. So this is where all the overtaking is going to be done. This is the main straight, start finish straight. But you need to have the overtaking done by the time you get here to the bridge. Under a big lift, little brake. Now straighten up, hard brake into third gear, let it slide out on exit. We're taking turn 6 flat. Take a little bit of curbing up to fourth gear, over to the left-hand side. Start the turn in at the quorum sign. Little bit of a lift mid-corner here just to get the rear rotated because I want to be all the way over onto the right-hand side for the final turn. Brake, trail brake, down to third, let the car slide out. Hold it in. Up to fourth gear, just before the line. And as I say, look straight forward. There's going to be so much overtaking, but there's going to be so many people spinning. And if you've not got the overtake done going into 4, you're going to have a terrible time. Right, final time from the cockpit with the driving line on. Such a tricky corner. Just feels like you're sliding the whole time. It looks very straightforward. Once again, to all those of you that managed to stay to the end of this video, thanks for watching. I've been Sambo iRacing. I will see you guys in the week. Have a good one.